Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to your garage. So like I told you guys yesterday, it's supposed to be a lot warmer today so we could be able to work on the 3500 and hopefully wrap that project up. Well, it certainly is. It's in the 50s, low 50s, but the wind is howling, and honestly when I first got home from work, I didn't think we were going to be working on it because it was still raining, but as you can see, the sun is out, it's not raining, it is rather windy, but the plan is to try and wrap this project up, at least our transmission saga. So really all we have to do is we actually have to put the dipstick tube in because I forgot all about that. Dipstick tube, drop the pan, clean the pan sealing surface, change the filters, reseal the pan, put that all back together, and put the rear drive shaft in. Then it should be ready to lower back down on the ground and fill up with transmission fluid. So these 68 RFEs take ATF plus 4. I think the 48 REs, that's like what's recommended in a stock application, but like with our performance transmission, this guy right here, we use Dex Merc, and that's just because with the friction modifiers, it tends to hold up better. They slip if you use the ATF plus 4, but in the stock application you want to use the stock fluid, which in this case is ATF 4. So we got all that to do. It's rather windy, which I hope that's not too bad, but we also have to clean our drive shaft up as it was sitting outside a little bit. So we'll get to doing all that. We'll probably start with the pan and let that all drain down, and yeah, let's get this thing sitting on its tires and take her out for a test rip. Yeah, I'm tired of laying under this thing. And also, before we begin, why I am covered in camouflage. Well, this is my rain gear for hunting, and if we're going to be laying in the puddle that is under the 3500 a little bit, we're going to at least try and stay a little bit dry. So I grabbed my rain gear real quick. So that's why I'm all camo. So as you would have saw, there's two filters on here, a spin-on filter and then your normal like particulate filter, if you will. So one thing that is recommended, always use genuine Mopar filters. So I actually went to the dealership to get this. Yeah, especially the spin-on one, I've heard where aftermarket ones can collapse and whatnot, but definitely make sure you have genuine Mopar filters, especially this one. Particular filter probably doesn't matter, but just with how these things are, better safe than sorry. Also, if you're going to be doing this, one thing, your pan gasket, it's RTV, so it's a pain to clean off and all that. If you're going to be keeping the truck, throw an aftermarket pan on there with an O-ring so you don't have to worry about none of that nonsense. Also, on these spin-on filters, this is plastic, so you can over torque it. I'm going to throw a little blue Loctite on there just to be safe, but personally I recommend, and Caitlin has this, a couple companies, I think ATS and RevMax, I'm sure Suncoast makes them too, but they make like a steel or an aluminum adapter for the filter. Definitely for the 25 or 30 bucks, go ahead and grab that if you're going to be keeping your truck. But we're not, so we're not going to worry about it. We'll just pull a little Loctite on there and snug her up, but you don't want to over torque it because then you can strip the threads. All right, so drive shafts in, carrier bearings in. First one of them I've ever had. Yeah, that's a long drive shaft. A little bit more of a pain in the race truck. And zoom. So up to the front, our pan is in, our new filters are on, our sealant is in, and all our bolts are torqued. Torque's like 40 inch-pounds or something like that. I can't remember offhand. Our cooler line, I was able to use one of the old ones that I cut off the race truck, and I just used a compression fitting right here to put it back together. Yeah, definitely a clean way to do it, and worked out very well. It'll also give us a spot where we can break that one apart and check our cooler flow after we get this thing filled up. So that's our next plan, is lower this thing down and ATF +4. This is absolutely very random, but I pulled this jack stand out of this side. Look at that, we got an MBRP exhaust tip. Oh yeah, we're living now, buddy. Before we get started, I only ended up having 4 quarts of ATF +4. I thought I had more than that, but here was Dex Merc. So that, and I gotta go drop a deer head off for my buddy Jordan, who shot a nice buck this week. So we're gonna get that nice little European mount for him. So I gotta go drop the deer off and get some more ATF +4. I got 4 quarts. I think maybe we'll get another 20, and hopefully that should be enough. Well, we're back. Went to the local auto parts store. There was 13 quarts of ATF +4. They had no more in the back, so we have 13. We have 17. I looked at something, a completely empty transmission or system should hold like 17.5. So it's going to be close, but I'm not thinking we're going to be able to get it right where we need it to be. So we'll fill it up, and I gotta put the dipstick tube in. Completely forgot about the dipstick tube again. So get that in, and we'll start filling this puppy. About the same thing as with the 48. We'll put in about 8 quarts. I'll check it on the dipstick, see where it's at. It should be a little above full. Then we'll start the truck. We'll put it in gear. Actually, with these 68s, from my understanding, the core circuit is actually the same in park and neutral, but we'll put it in reverse, neutral, drive, and then probably put it back in neutral and check it again, and just keep going through that until we have the proper level. So yeah, more transmission fluid. It's a staple of the channel. All right, so we got the PRND is all illuminated. I think what we got to do is clear the codes since it was disconnected. So we'll give it a shot. We'll clear the codes with the Smarty, and hopefully we'll be up and rolling. We can finish filling this thing up. So we're good. We got our indication back. Now we can start the truck. All right, well, she's running. Our fluid level looks good at a cold temperature. We'll have to recheck it again when it's hot, but no leaks that I can see. We haven't checked our cooler flow yet, but that's not going to be tonight. But take this thing for a little drive. I got the high idle going. For anybody that doesn't know, turn the high idle on. You want to just turn your cruise on. Wait a minute. All right, yeah. So turn your cruise on, put it down to set, and high idle. So All right, let's take this thing for a little drive. Maiden voyage. Well, boys and girls, she moves. For the first time on the channel, this truck is, well, second time. First time under its own power. The first time was, yeah, gravity off the trailer. But anyhow, the truck moves under its own power. I'm just happy. We did what we set out to accomplish and get a transmission in this thing, get it to move. Now, I only took a quick little jaunt up the driveway and back. The reason for that is the 68RFE computers. They're like an adaptive learning computer.
The CPU is a neural net processor, a learning computer.
So they learn the clutches, they learn your driving style, all that kind of stuff. So anytime you get a new transmission or reman transmission, or like in our case, an old transmission put into it, it does not know that transmission. So we can only assume that the clutches in this trans weren't completely shot because it blew an input shift. We have no idea. So if these clutches are completely shot and those aren't, or vice versa, it's going to have your shift timing all screwed up. And if you go to lay into it or something, you could basically destroy the transmission right then and there. So it's very important that we have a trans relearn done. The only way to do that is with like a snap-on scanner or, you know, Matco scanner, you know, one of those expensive scanners that like a shop would have. So that's what we need to do. We need to get this thing to a shop. I'm hoping I can find somebody locally who will plug into it. I know if you go to the dealer, they're probably going to charge you something ridiculous just to do it, because anything I've seen, it only takes a couple minutes, but the transmission does have to be warm. So just keep that in mind. We got this transmission in there. It's got to learn kind of the clutches so it can get the timing right. It's not like the 48 where, you know, this is applied and then this applies and then this applies. It's a clutch to clutch shift in that transmission. But she's got no check engine lights. The heat works. Yeah, I'm stoked. No leaks so far. We will check our cooler flow, but we definitely need to get that trans relearn done before I can take this thing out and try and put a couple 100 miles on it, because that's another thing. And anybody who has these transmissions, has the warranties and all, you have to drive them a certain way for a certain amount of mileage, just so that the trans can be fully set. So guys, the truck moves. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Man, we got another one moving. We only got one truck on the property that don't move under its own power. And that's this one. Wow, and my blue truck, but it doesn't have a battery. All right, guys, get out in your garage. Get the wrenching on your truck.